Welcome to our conference on Libya. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, this is Dr. Murat Aslan, SETA researcher and faculty member of Hasan Kalyoncu University. International Conference on Libya is inspired to discuss how we can promote peace through political and social compromise and by means of required security reformation in Libya. A basic assumption for the ones who committed themselves to Libya is that the state of Libya is for Libyans, and Libyans deserve democracy, independence, prosperity, rule of law, services, and as a precondition, security of all brands. Hence, security, by modern interpretation of today, is prerequisite to achieve the desires of Libya. For this purpose, SETA has concluded a security sector reform project by the precise support of SESRIC and Libya Program of Reconstruction and Development, and we are grateful for their support and encouragement. After a long journey of interviews and workshops with Libyans, we have finalized and published the book entitled Security Sector Reform for Libya, Critical Step Towards State Building. This conference is dedicated to inform international and Libyan public that there exist solutions. And we decided to organize this event, and I thank all participants due to their contributions. We will have 3 sessions today. The first one will have keynote speakers, Special Representative and Acting UN SMIL, Her Excellency Stephanie Wiliams, Ministers of Defense of Turkey and Libya, His Excellencies Salahedin Namroush and Hulusi Akar. And the second and third panels will host experts on Libya. And this event is being broadcasted live via social media. Now, I would like to give floor to Professor Burhanettin Duran, General Coordinator of SETA, for initial opening remarks.
Thank you, Murat. Your Excellencies, respective speakers, and distinguished guests, as SETA, today we are honored to host Ms. Wiliams, Head of United Nations Support Mission in Libya, His Excellency Engineer Salahedin Namroush, Minister of Defense of the State of Libya, and His Excellency Hulusi Akar, Minister of Defense of Turkey, as keynote speakers of International Conference on Libya. I believe today we will have a fruitful conference for the future of Libyan people. As we all know, Libya has suffered to build a safe and secure environment for many years. The revolution of 2011 was the declaration of the Libyan people to have a democratic state. Its objective was, and still is, to have a democracy rather than authoritarianism, to have prosperity and stability instead of poverty and suppression. Unfortunately, Libya experienced challenges after the revolution due to lacking political and peaceful process to address the ultimate aim of the revolution. If security sector of Libya is taken, we have observed great efforts to build up a security architecture that will promote the desired internal order and ensure denying the external threats. Once internal challenges threaten the legitimacy, security system has become fragile and fragmented. For sure, social and political structure of Libya does have reflections on Libya's security architecture. It was a weakness for Libyan public not having a well-institutionalized security force structure. Hence, there happened a wide-scale attack of Haftar's self-styled army to plot a coup d'etat against the government of national accord. Fortunately, security forces of GNA mobilized accordingly and achieved a great success story on the ground. Northwest of Libya has been secured and the conflict culminated around Sirte-Jufra line. As a game changer, Turkey defined the overall course of the Libyan conflict by offering military and political support to legitimate government of Libya, GNA. Turkey's support has become the turning point of the conflict and proved that Libya can unite against threats and establish their democratic state. In other words, I believe that Current political dialogue is actually an outcome of Turkey's support to GNA. Otherwise, we could have seen another Gaddafi in Tripoli. Identified mass graves in Tarhuna reminds what could have been faced in Tripoli if Haftar would capture there. The newly emerging facts of the current warfare, such as private military organizations, I mean Wagner of Russia, and mercenaries like Kankavitz, has shown us how complicated the conflicts of the modern warfare is. These non-state actors have been equipped with modern instruments that state actors are required to possess. Hence, GNA's victory is a challenge to the newly invented modus operandi of today. It is obvious that there must be a successful political process to terminate the conflict, start a democratic course, and address the expectations of the Libyan public, because it has always been the strength of the people that is decisive. Turkey, from the very first instance, has aligned herself with legitimacy, GNA's authority. It is Turkey's determined stance and GNA's strength to facilitate diplomacy and negotiation. I hope the overall process achieves the sacred benefits of Libyan people, because Libyan people deserve this. As political process develops, security sector reform has become another theme to be concerned, not to have another internal challenge. A lot has to be done within a short time period. For sure, it's not an easy commitment to start a security sector reform in Libya, but it's an obligation for ensuring the safety and benefits of next Libyan generations. SETA, by the encouragement and support of CESRIC, motivated by the Libyan Program for Reintegration and Development, under the courage of the BINA project, concluded a security sector reform research. Our term proved that our team performed a very great research commitment by numerous workshops and interviews with the Libyans. The output of the research project has been published as a book. The title of the book is Security Sector Reform for Libya, a Crucial Step Towards State Building. Our belief is that security sector reform is a significant move and milestone of state building. Hence, the research team dedicated their efforts to identify the root causes of the security shortfalls and give an existing security picture and present probable causes and processes. And of course, this project proposed a specific program and action plan, and finally, institutionalization of the security sector reform itself. The commitment to establish a security architecture has gained more prominence after the recent political developments, as it is mentioned by Ms. Stephanie Wiliams. In my opinion, Libya needs to start a comprehensive security reformation project to consolidate the state. The expectations of the Libyan public is a motivation and inspiration to start it. Libyans are expecting no more Gaddafis, a well-functioning civilian state with democratic norms, prosperity, and the services are demanded. Security sector is one either to promote this expectation or challenge it. The Libyans should not be concerned for the future, but practice their daily routines with neither challenges to their future. I'd like to thank CESRIC, LPRD, overall research team, and contributors. I appreciate the efforts of SETA team and Dr. Murat Aslan for their dedication that had made this report possible. I hope this research and concluding report ignite the first momentum in the way to inspire a reform attempt. Consequently, this conference that is you are following is dedicated to the latest political process, security situation, and security sector reform for Libya. After the keynote speeches, there will be 2 further panels. The panels bring together experts on Libya in order to discuss about the possible opportunities and challenges on SECR process. Given that security sector reform is a fundamental for a safe and secure Libya, the essential of the conference is that All parties in Libya desire stability and prosperity for the Libyans. And again, I'd like to thank our distinguished keynote speakers and hope a fruitful event for all participants of the following sessions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your kind contributions. Now we will give the floor to Stephanie Wiliams, UN's meal chief and also special representative of the UN Secretary General, for her kind remarks.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I regret not to be able to address such a distinguished audience in person, but I extend my sincere thanks to Dr. Murat Aslan and his SETA colleagues for this very timely initiative. The comprehensive agenda that has been put forward will, I am certain, make for some very constructive and rich exchanges. My colleague, Salim Rod, the director of UNSMIL's Security Institution Service, will take part in a later panel discussion, and he will respond to any questions that you may have. Libya's long-standing crisis is once again at a critical juncture. The halt in hostilities that prevailed since June created a rare opportunity for the resumption of comprehensive intra-Libyan discussions. Our joint efforts culminated with the signature by the two sides of the Joint Military Commission in Geneva on the 23rd of October of a countrywide ceasefire agreement with immediate effect, brought together by an undisputed sense of national responsibility and commitment. Military officers from both sides took tangible steps to end the suffering of their people, preserve Libya's unity and sovereignty, and reassert its sovereignty. This historic agreement provides for the withdrawal of all military units and armed groups from the front lines, the departure of all mercenaries and foreign fighters from the entire Libyan territory within a period of 90 days. In a further show of Libyan determination, this announcement was followed by two subsequent rounds of discussions taking place on Libyan soil, in Ghadames in the south and Sirte in central Libya, respectively, to expedite the operationalization of the ceasefire agreement. In Ghadames, both delegations developed the terms of a Libyan-led and UN-supported ceasefire monitoring mechanism to be initially established in an area running from Saukna to Abu Ghraib and Bin Jawad in central Libya. In Sirte, the Commission established its headquarters at the Ouagadougou Conference Center, and participants identified the reopening of the coastal road between Misrata and Sirte, supported by the deployment of a joint security force, as well as the withdrawal of foreign forces and mercenaries from the area. These positive developments paved the way for further progress on the economic and political tracks. Such is the situation in Libya, where all three keys to the solution are so tightly intertwined that they require parallel and complementary engagement. Following arrangements to remove foreign forces from the oil installations, the National Oil Corporation progressively lifted the force majeure on its installations, ending the oil blockade imposed on the country for over 9 months. Oil production is now back to pre-blockade levels at 1.2 million barrels per day, with preparations to increase production even further. This, in turn, has allowed for a reduction in electricity shortages and overall improvement of Libyans' living conditions. The resumption of oil production, in addition to the ceasefire, created conditions to address underlying security issues. On the 16th of November, for the first time, I attended a meeting with the chairman of the National Oil Corporation and the Eastern and Western commanders of the Petroleum Facilities Guard in Brega, in Libya's Oil Crescent, to discuss the unification and restructuring of the Guard force. On the 9th of November, I was able to convene formally the first in-person session of the Libyan Political Dialogue Forum in Tunis. This meeting was preceded by large-scale virtual engagement with diverse constituencies, youth, women, mayors, academics, all of which confirmed that the yearning for peace and stability remain more widespread and urgent than ever. Concluding on the 15th of November, participants to the Libyan Political Dialogue Forum adopted a political roadmap to presidential and parliamentary elections to be held on the 24th of December, 2021, which is Libya's Independence Day, and including a constitutional track the restructuring of executive authority, and the unification of institutions. The agreed document, entitled The Preparatory Period for a Comprehensive Solution, is complementing the LPA and sets general principles and objectives guiding the transition period under reconstituted and unified institutions, as well as the main timeframes for the endorsement of the new executive by the House of Representatives, milestones for the constitutional track, and elections. The forum's participants also agreed on the new executive prerogatives and eligibility criteria by consensus. To break the impasse regarding the forum's consideration of the selection mechanism, I decided to defer the discussion by one additional week and to reconvene virtually. While encouraging, this progress remains fragile. On the ground, tactical developments in Libya's central region remain worrying. As reinforcements continue to pour into both sides, the risk of miscalculation remains. In Tripoli, tensions among armed groups are on the rise. Finally, the security vacuum that characterizes the Fezzan, the South, the complicity of local power brokers, and the lack of governance and services create fertile conditions for the resurgence of terrorist safe havens. The status quo is clearly not sustainable. Continued military buildup, deteriorating socioeconomic conditions compounded by the grinding conflict, the exponential increase in COVID-19 cases, and the lack of basic service delivery render the need for a comprehensive and peaceful solution urgent. In that sense, security sector reform, as well as disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration efforts are key to reaching a lasting agreement and should be encouraged in the framework of the Joint Military Commission and the dedicated group of the Berlin International Follow-up Committee. Fragmented security forces, poor command and control, the predatory behavior of armed groups poaching on state institutions, widespread corruption, and the prevailing reign of impunity. All of these longstanding issues are well known and have shattered Libyans' trust in their sovereign institutions and their representatives. These issues similarly provide spoilers with an easy narrative to discredit political opponents or to resort to military action. The current lull in hostilities and recent ceasefire agreement provide an opportunity to resume the slow but steady progress made towards integration of security actors in state institutions and improved accountability that had been interrupted by General Haftar's offensive. I am encouraged by the commitment reiterated by Berlin participants and Libya's neighboring countries to support Libya's return to peace and stability. Advancing nationwide comprehensive security sector reforms, as well as pursuing disarmament, demobilization, reintegration of fighters, may appear to be a daunting challenge. Yet, it is an indispensable one, as it is our shared goal to prevent the country from descending further into chaos. Close coordination of international efforts is required. The Security Working Group, established as part of the Berlin International Follow-up Committee on Libya, and to which Turkey is a co-chair, should play an instrumental role in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. As you may know, His Excellency, Engineer Salahedin Namroush, is in charge of all affairs affiliated with security regarding defense sector. So I know that he's in a position to track the political developments and take measures relevant to the security environment, because transitions are mostly vulnerable for challenges. And at the meantime, he's one that has a kind of clear picture for security sector and reformation of it. So I want to give floor to His Excellency Minister of the State of Libya, Engineer Salahedin Namroush, for his opening remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Murat. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, participants in the International Conference of Reforming Security Sector in Libya, which held under the theme of A Step Towards Building. Through the sector in Libya, which is held under the theme of A Step Towards Building, through the program of integration and development. In fact, the project was among the prioritized projects or programs to the government of as in 2011, and we are as the GNA Ministry of Defense we have maximized the priority to this field and allocate a number of programs that will be addressed later during my current participant. First, allow me to thank all those who participated in developing the study team of today's conference, which including the results of this study. In addition, I would like to thank all institutions which organized and participated in preparing this study first, which is Foundation of Political and Economic and Social Research, SETA. I also have the pleasure to welcome your senior guests and keynote speakers, particularly Ms. Stephanie Wiliams, the head of UNISMIL, and thank her and thank through her the UNISMIL of all the efforts it executes of maintaining security and stability, as well helping us in rebuilding the Libyan political, economic, security, and military institutions in order to overcome the difficult period that my country of Libya is going through for the sake of building a modern democratic state, and also for people of Libya to enjoy security, stability, and benefits from wealth within its territories. I would like also to welcome Highness the Turkish Minister of Defense, our friend Mr. Khalusi Akar, whom I would like to thank along with the authority and friendly people of Turkey for assistance they have provided in order to repel all kind of aggression launched by Haftar and his forces on the western region and on the city of all Libyans, Tripoli. Ladies and gentlemen, our conference today addressed a scientific study that had been carried out to various research institutions and that had covered two significant and complicated topics: reforming and restructure security sector, as well integration of warriors and revolutionaries at the state institution. This what shall be addressed under the two main pillars of our conference. First, diagnose the state quo of security sector in Libya and developing adequate solution for the restructuring accord to the international standard in this field. Second, integration of development of warriors. Allow me to quote this phases from the initiative. Allow me from the initiative. Excuse me. Addressed to us, particularly the conference, people of Libya has the right to enjoy its wealth available on this territories and live in a peace and security. We believe that this is very key solution to a problem that lasted for a decade, and it's the reason because of which people of Libya, particularly youth, had risen in 17 February 2011. Ladies and gentlemen, the 17 February 2011 revolution had achieved the key objective for which it had erupted, toppling the regime. However, the revolution and toppling of the former regime was combined with violent armed conflict that continued for more than 8 months and led to 10,000 of young martyrs, mostly between 15 to 40 years old, which is the most active aged group and which states rely on the chief growth and development according to United Nations standard. Alongside with that, many young people had lost their limbs and suffered partially or fully disabilities that on the one hand executed them for the role active contribution in action and development. On the other hand, their disability have imposed a burden on the shoulder of their families and the state, because they need a care and positive and a provision of all kinds of services in addition to the need of the treatment and psychological rehabilitation. that had accompany their partial or fully disabilities, which requires a national, financial, and technical capabilities. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, I issue with which representing a file of highly priority at the level of the Government of National Accord at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, at the Ministry of Defense. First, the file integration and development of militias who took part at war operations in 2011, this including conducting a field survey and classifying militias in terms of age groups, educational level, and various skills. Through that and in coordination which the relevant ministry in the Government of National Accord, a national program has been initiated to distribute them to various sectors of the state in a line which their specialized and skills, and through a program of integration and development, noting that those who were be integrated into a military institutions, a program was set up, open training centers for all levels, and program foreign country and overseas courses. Second, which regard to the program of reforming the security sector in Libya, as you may aware of this sector disrupted on a various ministry authorities, and at the Ministry of Defense, we have developed a plan under the support and the consultation by specialists, by the specialized international institution to develop the military institution in Libya through a number of plans and programs. What I am interested to mention here, the white paper project to develop the Libyan military institutions, which started in 2011, which participation from international government institutions. I have the honor to inform you, Excellencies, that the Ministry of Defense and the General Chief of Staff how to build the Libyan military institutions, its future issues related to mechanism and the method of dismantling various militias and integrating them into the military sector and some other civil institutions. Finally, I must thank all the institutions whom supported this study, the finding of which you are reviewing today, and also thank all organizations of this event, of which we feel comfortable because it sends a number of messages that world is standing to our side in order to overcome this situation in Libya. We would like to say that we have determined will and plans to overcome this situation and move into a state, institution, and strong security that protects the homeland, state, and the people of Libya. As you know, the latest attack which happened in the 4th of April was disrupt and really interrupt all what is the plan going on by the GNA to reform the security system, to reform the security sector. What happened in the 4th of April was really a disaster in Libya. It drove us back more than 10 years, and it was a big miss, and it will be really hard to recover from this. We are willing to cooperate in order to build the country to peace, but we cannot trust the aggression who made his move in 4th of April. We are willing to get the support from the United Nations, from the UNSMIL, and we thank Stephanie Wiliams for her support and stand, and we hope to see Libya recovering soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your efforts because I continue to track what you are doing on the ground, and really challenging. I mean, and brilliant and promising. I know that Libyans will succeed as security sector in future and also enjoy prosperity for the next Libyan generations. And now I want to give floor to His Excellencies Minister of Defense of the Republic of Turkey, Hulusi Akar. And Turkey, as you know, is contributing a lot to Libya. Turkey is leading in Libya by means of assistance, by means of mentoring, and also there is a huge project being carried out right now. And also Turkey is in full track of the political developments. So, Mr. Minister, thank you for accepting this event. And I want to give floor to you for the perspective of the Turkey towards Libya security.
Murat, thank you. Thank you very much. Dear brother Minister Salahedin, His Excellency, and the dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First, I'd like to extend my warm thanks to SETA, the General Coordinator Burhanettin Duran and his team for organizing this important event for the benefit of all the participants. I hope that this conference will contribute to a better understanding of the challenges faced and the contributions made by Turkey in Libya. Dear friends, Turkey and Libya have years, centuries, 500 years of common culture and shared history. Our primary objective is an independent and sovereign Libya led by the Libyans and embracing all Libyans with its territorial integrity and the national unity intact. We support the UN-recognized legitimate government of Libya, which is the Government of National Accord, GNA. After Haftar's forces intensified their attacks on Tripoli in 2019, seeking support, the GNA sent letters to 5 countries, the United States, the United Kingdom, Italy, Algeria, Turkey, as well as NATO. Turkey was the only nation who responded positively. This is a crucial point. Based on this invitation and on our bilateral agreement, we have been providing terrain, assist and advice, support to the forces of the legitimate government of Libya. This support has been a game changer, as you noticed, and has helped to create a balance on the ground while preventing a humanitarian tragedy around Tripoli. In fact, Turkey has been the only country to help and provide a counterweight to Haftar's forces on the ground. In January, Turkey's efforts in Istanbul and Moscow for a ceasefire in Libya helped pave the way for the Berlin Conference and pushed forward the stalled UN political process. With Turkey's support, the GNA showed its goodwill and agreed to the conclusions of the Berlin Conference as well as other peace efforts, while Haftar repeatedly just walked away from the negotiating table. This is another core point for your information. The ruthless campaign of aggression waged by Haftar has had devastating consequences for Libya. Haftar's forces, supported by mercenary groups, have indiscriminately shelled hospitals, ports, airports, schools, embassies, residential areas, and the medical supply depots as well. They cut off the water and electricity supply of Tripoli, even when civilians needed medical treatment and were suffering from the COVID-19. By the end of March, the GNA was compelled to start a counteroffensive operation. As Haftar's forces started withdrawing from Tripoli, they left behind mines and explosives. As part of our humanitarian assistance, we are running a hospital as well as clearing mines and the IEDs laid by Haftar's forces. Our counter-IED team has neutralized many explosive devices, some of which were concealed inside toys that would have killed innocent children. In the areas cleared from the Haftar's forces, numerous mass graves have been found so far, and the remains of hundreds of people have been uncovered over there. Some parties claim to support a political solution, but unfortunately have provided Haftar with arms and military equipment. This foreign support to Haftar has been the biggest obstacle to peace and stability in Libya. Please note this. In order to ensure peace and stability in Libya, it is essential for all foreign assistance to Haftar to cease immediately. Haftar's forces and foreign mercenaries constitute a major threat to security, stability, and the diplomatic efforts. As well as we all agree, there is no military solution. Excuse me. As we all agree, there is no military solution to this issue. In the 5+5 Joint Military Committee, talks began for a lasting and sustainable ceasefire in order to establish a suitable atmosphere for the UN-led political process. In this context, on October 23, the two Libyan delegations at the talks signed a ceasefire agreement in Geneva. Recently, the Libya Political Dialogue Forum met in Tunisia under the auspices of the United Nations Support Mission in Libya in order to find a political solution to the crisis in Libya and to draw a roadmap for the future. Although some of the key agenda items, such as the roadmap, have been discussed, we understand that the forum still needs time to assign a presidential council and the prime minister. We sincerely hope that the momentum gained within the intra-Libyan dialogue mechanisms will yield concrete results, paving the way for a viable, lasting solution. Therefore, we will continue to support the UN-led peace process by encouraging the key political figures to show more effort for a unified government. Haftar and his supporters should not be allowed to spoil this opportunity. This is very important. While welcoming these developments, we can now see better that the Libyans have lost at least a year and a half just because Haftar and his supporters believe he could achieve his malicious aims through the use of brute force. On the other hand, the GNA has always been very constructive and has tried to end the crisis through peaceful means. In this context, I'd like to thank Minister Namroush for his efforts and positive contributions with his colleagues. For our part, Turkey is committed to finding a viable political solution that will meet the aspirations of the Libyan people. As we have done in the past 10 years, we will keep supporting the Libyan-owned political process under the auspices of the United Nations. Turkey certainly appreciates the efforts of the international community in order to establish peace and stability in Libya. But these efforts should not restrict our existing ties with our Libyan brothers. In any case, as I mentioned earlier, our presence and the support to the GNA are based on an invitation and on our bilateral agreements and are in accordance with international law. It is widely recognized that our support to the legitimate government has provided a window of opportunity for diplomacy to end hostilities in the country and reach a lasting political settlement of the conflict. The mass graves and bodies, as well as IEDs and mines discovered after Haftar's forces withdrew, provide solid proof of a further humanitarian tragedy that might well have happened had Turkey not responded to the call of the Libyan government. So far, I've talked about what we have done in Libya and why. Now, I would like to elaborate on what should be done next. One of the most important issues that we must prioritize is to rebuild the security sector by taking the concerns and needs of the Libyan people into account. Security sector reform in Libya is heavily dependent on popular support and political will. Without this, reforms are likely to fail. The Libyan people see security as a precondition for prosperity, as stated in the report by SETA. In this regard, Libya needs a regular standing army structure. In order to pave the way for the transition from irregular armed groups to regular armed forces, we are training Libyan military personnel both in Libya and in Turkey. We believe this training will constitute a significant contribution to capacity building in Libya, complementing other international efforts. SETA's report reveals how essential it is to reform the security sector in Libya. I would like to underline some important points. The security sector reform should be inclusive, covering all aspects of Libya's current security situation. Reform efforts should satisfy all segments of Libyan society. For these efforts to succeed, an environment of internal peace and calm needs to be established. Security concepts, organizations, authorities, and responsibilities need to be clearly defined to prevent future mishaps, incidents, and conflicts. The steps to be taken within the scope of the reform should be shared with the Libyan people transparently in order to ensure that they are received positively. The security sector reform should be comprehensive and impartial towards all parties in Libya. Only by doing so can possible future crises in Libya be prevented. I believe reforms that cover these points will be successful and long-lasting. Turkey is determined to continue its support to the reforms and in providing national security, political stability, and basic public services to the Libyan people. All in all, Turkey is steadfast in siding with our brothers and sisters, the Libyan people and the GNA in the establishment of a stable, peaceful, and prosperous Libya. This target can be achieved only with a multidimensional strategy comprising of a comprehensive security sector, a functioning public administration, and adequate economic, political, and social reforms. Before concluding my remarks, I would like to thank everyone who contributed to SETA's report, published as a result of more than 2 years of study. From my point of view, the most prominent feature of this report is that the envisaged security sector reform for Libya was tailored to Libya's local norms, history, culture, and tradition. It is not a one-size-fits-all conventional reform package. I am sure that these kinds of studies will serve the Libyan people and help make their hard-won gains permanent. It would be beneficial to increase these kinds of objective academic studies, which are built on the realities in the field and that embrace all Libyans. I also commend the excellent coordination and the teamwork shown by our government institutions, think tanks, and humanitarian organizations in this collaborative effort. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. As we understand from the speeches, there is a long way to pursue, and there's an intense agenda, and it will be time-consuming, pending to commitments and challenges. And ultimate goal is essentially here, and it's the prosperity and security and also stability of Libyans. So I'm concluding this session, and the next panel will be at 1500 hours Istanbul time and 1400 hours Tripoli time. And the theme of the event is about how we can establish a security sector, security architecture in Libya. Thank you for your contribution.